अच्छा स्लाइड्स डी शेयर करते रहेंगे लाइक जब हम भी कर रहे होंगे या फिर हम शेयर करना है क्या सीन? भैया दी हेलो।
Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all to this session. I appreciate all the efforts who have joined the meeting today. Let's wait for another 10 minutes and we'll get going with the session. We'll just start in few minutes. Guys, keep sharing the link to everyone you know, your college groups. Okay, guys, it's time to start. Welcome everyone to today's live session on YouTube. My name is Tanisha Verma, and I'm excited to share my knowledge and expertise with all of you. Today, we'll be discussing about Git and GitHub. I will be demonstrating various techniques and tools that you can use, to enhance your skills, to learn something which is distinct from what others have learned. I encourage you all to participate in the session by asking questions, providing feedback, and engaging in the discussion. This session is going to be super interactive, so please feel free to share your thoughts and ideas in the comment sections or through the chat feature. Let's get started and have a great session together. Are you guys excited? Yeah, I can see it in the comment section. Let's get started, guys. The agenda for session is, as you can see the post, it was meant to be a session for Git and GitHub. So that agendas are, what is Git? We'll be introducing you about the Git. I am sure everyone knows about it, but we'll be brushing your knowledge with some new, informations about it. Need for Git and GitHub, these are two completely different topics. For the people who don't know it, we'll be discussing the difference between them. We'll show you how setup and installation is done. This will be a more of a practical session rather than a theoretical one. We'll be showing you everything, how to push, pull, how to write your codes, how to get started, and everything. We'll show how to use GitHub. We'll show you the code deployment, that is, you can deploy your applications free of cost on websites, right? You have to pay a lot of amount for deploying your websites. Guys, you can do it for free through GitHub. Be with me throughout the sessions. Keep asking y'all whatever question you all have, just keep asking on the chat box and I'll be pleased to answer you all. So, guys, this session is a complete beginner thing and you need no prerequisite. I hope all the people in this session are, involved in some courses in college, right? So, everyone knows there's a big demand of Git and GitHub for everyone. And trust me, guys, you need no knowledge for this. Okay. So, what's the need of GitHub? Developers need a web or a cloud based code hosting platform, right? GitHub is the one, okay? Useful for version control. We'll be learning about version control in our next few slides, okay? It enables effective collaboration, guys. You can collaborate with everyone you want on the GitHub everywhere you want, right? You can enable effective codes of anybody who has posted it on GitHub or Git, and you want to extract that code, use some part of code, and like want to use it in your project, you can do it with Git and GitHub, right? Now you can download projects and files in just one go. You keep searching for projects, like you need some information about a part of thing you're not able to understand, and you keep searching for some type of projects. You can easily do it through GitHub, guys. I'll show you everything today. Stay tuned, you'll get to know a lot of things today. Now, easy evaluations of each other works. You can easily see, suppose your friend is there who is making the same project like you are doing, and both of you all have uploaded it on Git or GitHub. You can easily evaluate which one is better, what all work you have to do more with your project. This is kind of a, it's visible to everyone. Whatever changes you do, whatever you code, it is visible to everyone, and you can be a little, you know tricky with this. And I'm not telling that you can just cheat what someone has written and use it as your code, but you can definitely see what that person has written and try to make a better project than him, right? Suraj, we have already started. Am I visible, guys? I mean, am I audible and is my screen visible? Cool. Okay. Yes, I'm audible to everyone. So, the next slide is I'll be briefing you about the difference between Git and GitHub. You know, Git is a software and GitHub is a service. As the name suggests, Git is the origin where GitHub came from. Okay, Git is a version control system, a tool to manage your source code history, and GitHub is a hosting service for Git repositories. Basically, GitHub is uh, more complicated than Git is more complicated than GitHub. Git is somewhat similar to a Linux operating system. That is, Linux maintains Git. You have to write the codes if you want to push, pull, merge, make a branch. For everything you do, you have to write codes in Git, right? And what is GitHub? GitHub is basically a cloud. You know, the number one company who has contributed to GitHub is Microsoft, Google, SAP, and many more companies are there who have already collaborated with GitHub, and it's excelling in its field. The exposure you get on GitHub is completely unmatched, and you get to learn new things. Okay, Git is a command line tool. That is, you give commands to the Git in form of codes on the command prompt, or will tell you how to download Git, how to use it on your system, and everything. And GitHub is a total use graphical user interface. We'll get this on web. We'll show you that as well. Now, Git, you can install it locally and exclusively on your system, whereas GitHub is as I told, is a cloud-based thing where it gets hosted on web. Both Git and GitHub keeps your project safe and exclusively to you, and you can access both the you can access the codes whenever you want. Sometimes it happens, like it has happened with me, when you change your laptops or you shift from laptops to desktops, you cannot export every code here and there, right? You don't know in which folder you have kept which part of your code and where are the projects. You can use Git and GitHub to push your projects there, and you can extract the codes on your new laptop or desktop anytime you want. And this is the thing I've learned. Just because you keep shifting things, right? You are in software background, you there might be an emergency and you have to change your laptop, or last minute you have to give a presentation of your code, and suddenly your laptop just stops. Like, anything can happen, right? You can keep your code safe on Git and GitHub, and you can use it, right? Now Aditya will be continuing with this session. He'll be telling you how to install Git on your laptop, how to use Git, and many more things. Stay tuned, guys, and Aditya will be sharing. Aditya, can you join? Guys, Aditya is facing some internet issues. We'll continue with the session. Okay. Now, what is a version control? As I said, Git is totally circulated around the version control system. So, version control system, or a VCS, tracks the history of changes as people and projects. Team collaborate on project together. As the project evolves, teams can run. What does this mean? When you're working on a very large project, you need to secure your code somewhere. You cannot share codes on WhatsApp, right? So you have to share it from somewhere. For this reason, we use Git. Okay, you can collaborate with teams, work on certain projects. You. I'll tell you something. You can also access to open source, and let me tell you this, guys who are rooting for open source, Git and GitHub is a must for you all, right? Git, when you go for open source programming, there are a lot of codes, projects, programs that are already opened, and you need to give your contribution in that. And we'll be showing you how to do that in this session as well. Just stay tuned with us. So, yeah, guys, I was talking about open source. So, how many people are interested in open source from the audience that I am having? How many of you all are really into open source? Just let me know in the comment section. I'm waiting for your answers, guys. Come on, guys. Do you all know what is open source? Are you all interested? And trust me, this is the diverse thing you can ever see. Okay. Now, now you need to be very attentive in this session so that you can excel in open source. Okay, so what is open source? Open source is something where there are a lot of projects opened already. The projects were created by someone who couldn't complete it. Okay, I mean, not complete it, he has opened it for the contributors willing to complete it. You can join GitHub, you can access for that codes, you can go to that project, you can make changes in that project, and then request the creator, if he likes your presentation, if he likes your code, he'll merge it into his project, is what called open source. Okay, now we'll get continuing with the Git. Okay, so as the project evolves, team can run, test, fix bugs. As I said, you can fix bugs. If anyone has bugs in their project, you can contribute to it, fix the bugs, and let them know that you have done it, and that will be a great immense joy for whoever codes knows it, right? So yeah, you can contribute new code with the confidence that any version can be recovered at any time. Now, this is interesting, guys. Once you write a code and the contributor who has made the project commits that code into his project, that doesn't mean he has lost the track of the original project. He can still go back to his original code if he is wanting to and not liking the project at any point of time. Anytime he decides to go back to his original code, he can switch very easily. Okay, developers can review project history to find out. Now, the person who was making changes in the project can go to the history section and find out which changes were made, who made the changes, when, where the changes were made, and why were changes needed. You can do all of these things, right? It's very surprising to know, right? You can see who wrote this line of code. Like there's an error in some line of code and you want to see who made this error, you can just go on the history and you can see who wrote this line of code, who made the error, who committed the code, I mean who granted the access to commit the code. Next slide is Git has two types. Like I said, there's one cloud based platform and there's one Linux mentioned interface, right, where you can code and get all the features which the GitHub provides. So one is Git Bash, used for Windows, provided a Bash emulation used to run Git from the command line. Like I said, you have to install it personally on your PC, laptop, whatever. And then you can run it through command lines. Now another one is Git GUI. As Windows user commonly expect graphical user interface, we exclusively run for graphics, right? So this is for us. Now Git for Windows also provide the Git GUI, a powerful alternative to Git Bash. Guys, you can go to this link and download, and I'll be back. I'll ask Aditya to join and he'll show you how to download and all the procedures.
Visible? Yeah. So is my screen visible there? Is my screen visible there?
Yeah, Aditya, you are visible. You can get going with
Thank you for
whatever you
confirming.
have to tell them.
So as everyone can see, this is the page. This is the official Git page where you can actually download the whole Git thing. And that's what that's what the previous explanation was, that Git and GitHub, these are two different things. As let me give you a bit practical example. Let's search Git on our Google. So as we can see, we are getting this Git profile thing, and again we are also getting GitHub. So as you can see, most of the time we generally used to, consider both of these things to be one, but there is a difference. There is a huge difference. First of all, let's talk about Git. Git, as it's a free open source platform that is basically for VCS. Now, let it comes down to what is VCS. So let me create some explanation for you. As we know, VCS, it basically means version control system. For example, let's you and a bunch of people, you all came together and started working on a project. Just say you're developing an Android app or even a game, let's say. You're developing an app, website, or something like that. Now you have completed this. Now as you would have noticed, even Facebook and other applications like Instagram and even your favorite games like Free Fire and other, they all have some version integrated to it. Like this was version 1.0, this was 1.2, and so on. This is how the development goes on. In every different version there are some addition in the features, and also some features gets removed, right? But let's imagine you're going through the development cycle. At some point you deleted an important feature which was required to be in that release. Let's say you developed 2.0, and it was a major development. It was a major shift from 1.2 to 2.0. So let's say you added some features and even you removed some of the features. But there was a point, like suppose this particular feature which you integrated into your software in this version 2.0, it was an unstable release. So now your app couldn't be it cannot be placed like this until you go on fixing this bugs. So that's where our version control system comes in handy. You can just you can just put your previous version into the release pipeline, and that could be stable. That could be put into the use of that actual consumer which was using your product. So this is how the development. This is how the development goes on, and this is what the version control system works. Now, coming to the version control system, let's say you are developing a code, you are writing something, you are creating something. Now at your own point, you even want to visit some earlier changes. There also our version control system becomes very handy. It provides an edge. like it gives you an ability that you can get back to that earlier code which you wanted. Now let's jump to some practical demonstration of it. So yeah, this was the site which I talked about earlier. From here, you can get the official version of the Git, which is released by the community. And I mean, you must be surprised to know that this was also developed by Linus Torvalds. Linus Torvalds, the same person who played the major role in the contribution and development of Linux, GNU specifically. So yeah, as you can see, here is the download link. Now you can install it just by clicking this. It will get you to this download page. You can get whatever version, I mean, depending upon the system. Like I'm using Linux, so obviously I have these commands for me to get my, I mean, get the thing running. And similarly, if you're using Windows, you'll get the application download link here. You can get it downloaded and you can just simply install, just like you install any other application, or even you have installed VS Code. It's the same procedure. So it will get installed in your system. Now let's come to the part. Now let's say you have completed your installation and you want to check whether your installation is completed or not. So let's open a terminal. And so the first command which we will be using is obviously git version. Sorry, git minus version. So if it defines that whatever the version you are using, it defines that whatever the version you are using, it if it gives any error, then definitely it's not, I mean, you haven't installed it properly. And if it informs you that yeah, you have got your version thing correct, then definitely it's installed properly. So let's check the version. Yeah. Yeah. So as you can see, I have a Git version of 2.5.1 in my on my system, and yeah, the latest one is, it's what it is. It's 0.39. So I have a bit updated version. I mean, a bit outdated version. So yeah. Now, now let's see, you're into the process of development and you want to initiate your your repository. First of all, let's understand what a repository is. I mean, I think no one has any question in that. If anyone has, then you can just comment me down. I'll answer whatever the questions are. So yeah, first of all, let's understand what a repository is. I mean, what do we call what do we call a repository? So now, first of all, let's come to understanding of the repository thing. Repository. Just understand it like a container, or you can even imagine it to be like a folder. In the folder structure, as you organize your stuff, just suppose that it is the basket in which you are putting all your necessary files which is required for your project, just like your image file, even your text file. You're putting all these in this basket, and even these are organized into different folder structures. For example, you have a separate folder which is containing all of your images, and a separate folder which is containing all of your let's say animated footage, and even a separate folder which is containing all of your codes and other related stuffs. So you have this complete basket, and this basket this basket is only called as a repository. So I hope I'm very much clear with the repository thing. So now just let's just quickly see how a repository is created and initiated. So yeah, first of all, let's head let's head to our GitHub page. I hope everyone is clear with the Git and GitHub difference, whatever I said in this slide, that what a Git is and what a GitHub is. Till now, whatever you saw, like whatever the VCS thing was, version control system, and other things, that functionality, whatever my friend told you, these all are a part of Git. And when we come to GitHub, it's basically a hosting platform where every Git repository could be hosted. So let's now just jump into our Git profile. And here it's a very easy way to create a repository. You can easily create a new repository, or even you can import some repository if you have any previous one. Now, to create a new repository, there's a very simple step. You can easily come to this page. You can type your repository name. Let's create a repository. Let's say Git Git test, or a Git test, and you can even add a description to it if you want. You can also change it, like if you want it to be public or you want it to be private, like you want only some people like you and your friends to be contributing in it. So like you can give them access in private thing, but yeah, private is basically it's revolving around you only, and when it's public, anyone in this planet having a Git account can contribute to your code. Now, let's just, you can also add a README file, and you can also add a git ignore folder. Now, let me make you something clear about what is this git ignore thing means. Let's say in your basket, the basket which we talked about earlier, your repository thing here. What can be stored in a repository other than code? So it's not limited, as I told, that a repository can be hosted, and your repository is containing your image file, your your GIF files, your animated files. It means anything which is contributing in your project and is inside that repository. Repository is, when you are creating a repository, it's definitely it is involving a, what I can say, it's involving a version control system associated with it, right? So when it's involving a version control system associated with it, it means every changes, whether it's adding a new image file, adding a new texture file, adding a new background file, anything, whether it's code, image, animation, or anything like that. Even the WebGL contents, these are being very popular these days. So HTML, CSS, image, WebGLs, etc. Everything, these all things can be stored in this particular repository, and this particular repository can be hosted on this GitHub platform. So your repository can contain everything which is required in your project. That's the answer. I hope I'm clear with it. So let's just jump back to our this creation. So yeah, we were in the process of I was trying to make you understand what is this git ignore thing. So let's just jump back to our C. Yeah, I was talking about that git ignore, right? Please forgive me for my handwriting on this digital pad. Yeah. Now, git ignore. What we want from here, let me just, yeah. Now, we were talking about this basket, right? Here we were having our everything, our code stuffs, our images, and everything, whatever was required in your project. Now, here was some other things like which was required at the time of development, or let's say a file which was for your reference. So, or even you can see when you are writing a code, right? Let me just take a very simple example. Suppose that every one of you joining here are engineering students, right? Let's suppose you went to your lab. In your lab, you were writing a code, like you were writing a code. Let's say your DSA code, right? Your DSA code. In that In that you created a .c file, and at the time of execution, right? At the time of execution, it, you compiled it. Let me just demonstrate a practical version of it. Yeah. At that time, you created a file. Let's say your initial file was, what you can say, a simple program. Let's say it was typing hello world. Okay. So it's just a basic C program, in which it's just printing hello world. Now here you are also, at the time of execution, another file is being created. That file is .out file. Basically that is the executable file. And in every system, whenever you are running, you are creating an executable file, right? So those files should not be, those files should not be in your, those files could not be the part of your code, right? That cannot take place in your project. I hope making myself clear. It was just a, small program in which it just supposed to print hello world. Now .c file cannot be executed, right? It need to be either an executable file or that .out file, right? So just suppose here I created a file a.c, and here I compiled it with this another code, and now I am getting the output. So as you can see, when I list everything, you can see here is that a.c. This was the file which was required to be the source file, and this a file. As you can see, a green mark, that means that it is an executable file. It will run directly. That file should not be there in my project. So this .a file, this a file, this executable file should not be there in the container or in the repository when it's being pushed. So at that time, you can use this .git ignore thing. That .git ignore will simply ignore all these files. .git ignore, basically it's a text file. Okay, it's basically a text file which will contain names of every file, or even you can star mark, even you can star mark with the extension name. Like you have a Java file. You are using Java for your project. So dot out dot class. So dot class file will always, dot class file should always be mentioned in git ignore text file, so that it could be ignored. Now moving forward, there isn't much to worry about. No one is worried about the licensing, right? So let's just create the repository. So let's wait for the second. Yeah, here the here it's already created, and just wait for a second. Don't be in a hurry and don't press any key or even move your mouse. Just see. You can see everything. Everything is being created. Everything is being written. These are the steps how you can how you can use, you can clone this particular repository into your
So, hi again, guys. Let me pick up from where Aditya dropped. There might be some internet issues, so let me continue with that. Let me just present my screen. Yeah, and we're good to go. He just covered what is Git and how you can use it through command line interface, and I'm pretty sure he did his best. Okay, he did his best to explain you all what is Git through command line interface, and I am pretty sure that most of the things must have bounced off your heads. That's very normal, guys. So let me let me just make it short and crisp about GitHub. Now, this will be really interesting and a really straightforward work. Okay, so I guess Aditya has left. Okay, guys. So, what is GitHub? Now that you know why do you need GitHub, let us know what is GitHub. You have already known. Can someone tell me, is my screen visible or still Aditya is sharing his screen? Okay. Yeah. Okay, guys. So we talked a lot about Git and GitHub, and I'm pretty sure you must be knowing what is GitHub till now. Okay. So GitHub is for profit company that offers a cloud-based Git repository for hosting services. Essentially, it makes a lot easier for individuals and team to use GitHub for version control and collaboration. And I have explained everything in the previous parts, right? And Aditya did his part two. Now, GitHub. Aditya talked about installing it on your personal laptops, right? Be doing it through web interface. Okay, so that is very user friendly, and even people who do not know anything and the naive coders can also take advantages of GitHub. Okay, so this will be very helpful for y'all. Moving on to the next slide, guys. I'll be doing more of practical. Let's just cover whatever is written in the slide, and theory, whatever you have to get through the theory, just get it, and we'll be moving to the practical part really soon. Okay, now we'll make a GitHub account, and if you already have a GitHub account, well and good, we'll start with it. Now, if you want to, I'll be telling you everything you need for a beginner to get started with the GitHub. But if you have any questions further, you can just go to this GitHub Hello World guide, and it's the most popular actions you'll get there, and you'll get a lot of knowledge over there. Okay, now we'll make a GitHub account really soon in next few minutes. Now we'll see, why do we need a branch? As Aditya covered, we need a branch. Okay, let me tell you an example. When you join a company and you get a code to test or you get a code to review to work upon, you cannot make changes on the original code, right? So what you do is you create a branch. A branch is a clone of the actual code you get, and then in that branch you can make changes in the code. And we'll be talking about only branch here. We'll be not talking about how to push back the code you have changed. We'll be talking about only branches. Now, branch, what does branch do? Branch actually helps you to make a copy, okay, as I said, and then you can make any changes you want and then push it back again. Now, a separate version of repository branch is a separate version, right, that allows developers to work on new features or fix bugs without affecting the main code base, as I said, right. Now, branches can be merged back into the main branch when the work is complete. Okay. The next is opening a pull request. Now, as I talked about the open source and people were having doubts about open source, right? Yeah, open source. Now, what you can do is when someone puts a project in their Git account, you can pull request. You can request them to give them access to give you. Actually, I'll talk about you. Okay, when I refer to you as the person who is going to pull, you'll understand it in a better way. Okay, so when you request for the code to get it on your laptop, you need to press the pull button. Okay, now pull requests are the heart of collaboration on GitHub, right? Like until you pull some request, you cannot get access to any projects. Like when you open a pull request, you're proposing your changes and requesting that someone review and pull in your contribution and merge them into their branch. As I said, branching. No, now we know what is branching: making a copy of the original project in which you want to work upon, and then when you have contributed to that code and you want to, you feel that the your code is more efficient and more good looking than the original code, you can just open a pull request and then ask the main person to merge your code into their branch. Okay, now these are the process, whatever is written here, 1 2 3 4 5, these are the process. We'll not read it, that would be very boring. We'll directly go to the main part. Let me just tell you all the key points so that when I talk about it on the web page, you know what it's used for and what am I using it for. Okay, now merging all pull requests. Now once the person who has created the project finds it super interesting that your code is really nice, he'll merge your project and accept your pull request. Okay, now hosting on GitHub will be the last thing. It's an amazing functionality of GitHub, as I told you in the previous part. Like you can deploy your websites as well as applications for free on GitHub. Okay, so this allows you to make development process so easy that you can actually view the updates in matter of few clicks. Okay, now now let me just go to GitHub. Yeah, you can just type. We'll go back. Okay, so I'll open it again. You can just type github.com and you'll see this page coming up. If you are new, you can just sign up. Okay, guys, you can sign up with your email ID and password. You can make one account, and I already have an account, so I'll just sign in. Okay, I'll sign in my GitHub account. And it's super easy. I'll go a bit slow, guys. If you all want to do it along with me, you all can tell me. I'll guide you through the chat section. Yeah, if you all want. Someone is doing it well and good, we can do it together so that you get a hands on. Okay, so now I'll tell you everything. These the things present on the left side are all the repository I have created. I've specially created some of the repository for y'all. Okay, so that y'all can see it. Now the thing that is coming up on my main screen here is what I have pulled it from someone. Okay, I requested. I generally contribute to open source, so I requested someone to let me make a branch of their code, make some changes, and then I requested them to push it back. This username is not mine. This is the person from whom I requested. Okay, now we'll open some of my project. I'll open this one. Okay, so I'll be telling you how did I put this project into my GitHub account. Okay, this is okay. So you must be knowing about VS Code. If not, you can just watch one video on internet and you'll know what is VS account, from where you can install it, and what all that. Like VS Code supports every language you ever want to write. Okay. Now, we're not concerned about what's written in the code, we are just concerned about how we'll upload this code into our GitHub account. So now, we'll make it short. Yeah. Now, what we'll do is we'll go back. Okay. Mm, we'll press here. This can you see this plus icon over here? From here or here, we'll just click new. Okay. Now, as Aditya have already covered this. Okay. I'll be not talking much about it. You can just write repository name. I'll give it YouTube session. Now, now guys, if you want to deploy this on your GitHub, I mean on the web page, you have to add an extension that is GitHub. I'm sorry. .io. Yeah. So you can keep your repository name whatever you want, and if you don't want to deploy it, you just want to keep it as a code, you can just exclude the github.io extension, or if you want to deploy it, you can just add on the extension that is github.io. Now you can write a description about your project. I'll keep it short. uh, a project for YouTube demonstration. Okay. Okay. I'll make it public so that everyone can see it, and I'll add a README file. Now, what is a README file? You don't know anything about a project. You just go to the project, and it's very new for you. You can read all the things that the creator has used in his project, what the project is about, everything in a README file. So we'll add a README file in this, and we'll leave this as it is, and this is the button where you need to process to create a repository. We've been talking about repository all throughout the session. Now this is where you you have to create a new repository. Now we'll just click on create repository. Okay. Now guys, your repository is created. For the people who is doing it with me, congratulations, you have made your first repository. Okay. Now, guys, everyone knows what a code is, right? So here, the part we are standing now, you'll see the code. If I add some code in it, which I'll be adding shortly, but let's just discuss what are these. Okay. Now, what are issues? Okay, so there are no issues right now because I have not put in any code yet. But what is the issue? The bug trackers. I told you about the projects that have issues in them. You can. So I'll show you something. Okay, we'll just go back and go here. This is an open source project. Okay, we'll go to issues. Now see, now there are many people, many lots of people who have contributed to this project, and they have found these issues in the project. They have written it. We'll just open anything and see. He has written. Okay, there's nothing there. Okay, now let me just brief it. Okay, issues are the things which you push it to the actual project when you find a certain error in the project. You create an issue and ask the creator to consider it and make it all right in his project. Now what's a pull request? Now these are the people who have pulled this project onto their laptop, onto their accounts to work on it. I just talked about pull and push, right? Now pull request, this particular pull request is a feature that allows developer to propose changes to code and collaborate on code reviews. I told you, right? Now developers can submit a pull request to propose changes to the code, and other developers can review and discuss the changes before they are merged into the main branch. As I said, the person whom you are requesting, as I requested to Mankil, okay, that's a nice name. Yeah. So I requested him to make me a pull, allow me to make a pull request, and he did allow me. Okay. And here are plenty lot of people who have already done pull requests to his code. What is action? These are the things, action, security, and insights, which beginners don't really need. So we'll avoid talking about this as we're running short of time. Okay. So we'll go back to the project to be just formed. And where is it? Yeah, YouTube session. We'll open it and we'll do this. Now we'll just drag and drop the code here. I think that will work. Okay. That's not working. Okay, we'll add a file. Guys, you can upload files from here. Okay, yeah, we can drag and drop it here. we'll just drag and drop the file here. Why isn't it working? No issues. We'll just choose a file. We'll type, yeah, this one. See, guys, I had a plenty lot of codes written over there, but I just uploaded a single file so that you all can see. I'll do it again for you all. You can just go and choose your file. Now I'll upload this one. Okay, I'll go here again and I'll upload this app.js file. Okay, now app.js file is showing here. You can okay, now when you are making changes in the project, you need to write comments. But this is our own project and we don't need any comments. Okay, so no comments. Maybe yeah, and we can just commit changes. Okay, guys. Now you can see there are two files here which we uploaded from our desktop. Yeah. Now we talked about code. Now in code section, you can see a readme file. You can see a app.js. I'll just open and show. Yeah, these are the codes that were written. I'll go back here and I'll show you app.js. See, the code written here is now transferred here. This is amazing, right? You just transferred a code somewhere where you can access it whenever you want, and you can have this project as long as you want, as long as you don't delete it. Now I was talking about history. Now when I click on history, they'll show what code was written by which person, the date, time, and everything. You can see it on history, and it's very quite comfortable for everyone to go to. Yeah, now we'll see the go to line. Now if you don't want, like, this is a small code, right? You can just easily access it, but if there are long codes, you can just go to line. I suppose I'll write line number 4 and go. They'll take you to line number 4. Now that's amazing, right? You don't have to go through all the hustle to find the line of code you make error, right? Now this is copy raw contents, and this is raw and blame, which you don't need as a beginner. Now I am pretty sure now you guys know what is. I mean how to deploy how to add your project onto the GitHub. And we'll talk about something, a feature called fork. Fork, you find it here. There is zero forks just because I'll tell you the reason. Okay. The reason is when you create your own repository, you cannot be a member of any organizations. Okay, like you are the creator of this repository, you cannot fork it. Now, what is fork? A feature that allows developer to create a copy of the repository. Okay, yeah. Yeah, on a repository where they can work independently. This is useful for contributing to open source projects or the experimenting with new features without affecting to the code base. I've talked about it a lot throughout the session. I'm pretty sure every one of you are clear that why do we need to copy the project? We cannot make changes on the real database. Okay, there is a star mark here. If you like the project, just give it a star mark. Yeah. Now, there are some other features which you don't need as a beginner. There is stash, a feature that allows developer to temporarily save changes and work on it. Okay, now guys, we'll go back to this, and I think a pull request is clear now. Merging is clear. Okay, I'll show you another thing. Yeah, I'll go back to the. No, this is our repository, and then you can find it on your GitHub account easily. Now we'll go to this one, and we see there are 6.1k folks over here. Like 6.1k people have requested to make a copy of this project on their desktop and work on it. Okay, and there are, yeah, huge number of stars for it. And you can see the contributors over here. There are 269 contributors, and he's the owner of the project. Okay, I'm not advertising anyone. It's just that I uh, contributed to this code, so it is saved on my GitHub, and that is why I'm showing it. So that is pretty much it, I think, guys. Now we'll talk about a deployment part. We'll just see if I missed anything. He has written everything you have used in this. I mean, he has used in this project to make it look great. Yeah. Now I'll go to the comment section. If any one of y'all have any doubt, you can just comment in the section. I'll just reply to all the comments. Yeah, I told you we can just drag and drop. I don't know why isn't it working right now on my laptop, but yeah, you can just drag and drop, and that is very easy. You don't have to add all the files. Your code, I mean, all your sub folders in your main folder can be there on the GitHub in just one drag and drop. It's not working right now. That's why I didn't. Can you push your code directly from VS Code? Yes, that's what I showed. We can directly push our code. For that, I'm not talking about VS Code over here, right? So I won't be telling much about here. You can add extensions over here of GitHub. Okay. When you add extensions of GitHub over here, say pull and request everything, you can just with the you'll get signs over here and you can just add it. So we'll not talk about VS Code now. Our main objective is Git and GitHub. Um, Whatever file the codes require to function. Okay. Someone has asked, is Google Drive and GitHub same? No, Google Drive and GitHub is not same. You cannot store codes and then deploy it and then see it as a website through Google Drive. Okay, you can do it only through GitHub. You don't see other projects on the GitHub until you share your email ID with someone or you get email ID of someone. You cannot just randomly. Okay, I'll tell you interesting thing. You can just go to jump search bar and you can what should I search? Beginner. You can just see whatever project everyone has ever created. Okay, and if you want to find any project on the GitHub, like you want a project which shows the temperature, you can find it on GitHub. If even if it is not yours, you can find it other way, like who are the people who have already written the code of it. Okay, any further questions? I am hoping everyone is pretty clear about everything. I'll just cover the last portion, that is the deployment. That's a bit that will take about 5 minutes, and that's why I'm waiting for the questions. Guys, you can just ask questions. Yes, someone was asking what is a stage area. What is a staging area? Okay, these are also called untracked files. Okay, uh, like if the developer who has made the project is not sure if he's going to add your code into his project or not, that's called a staging area. Where he's judging your code and you are willing to be a part of his project in the next commit. That's basically a staging area where your code is not committed yet, and you're still wanting your project to be there in the main project. That is called a staging area. Is that fine? Okay. Okay. Now we go to hosting. For hosting, we'll go to this. Okay. Now, if you want to host a simple HTML project, that's quite easy. But if you want to host a project which contains a lot of, uh, say, Now I've already given a .github.io extension. Now we can just go to pages over here. Okay, and see, it's already showing me that your site is live at, it has given me a site here. Whenever you click this link or you share this link to anyone else, this will directly take them to the project. As I do this, I'll tell you the difference. Okay, now see, this is what I have created, but there is no image in here. Why, guys? Because only GitHub Web will not support CSS. Now what you need is, you need this thing. Yeah, we'll go, yeah, he will go here. Now we'll type in GitHub for Windows and we'll just click on desktop.github.com. We click it. You can download it for Windows. I've already downloaded it. Yeah, you can just click it. You can install it, and the further process will go on. Let's just open. Now the interface would be somewhat like this. Okay. Now what we'll do is, it's already opened here, e-commerce github.io. Now guys, I don't have the code of this project currently saved in my laptop, so I'll be giving you a rough idea, and I'm sure you can work on that. This might be a task. Like, yeah, I've already covered everything you require to be a beginner, and go and give it a shot. Deploy your own website, build one, deploy it, and guys, I'll be telling you something very interesting at the end. Okay. Uh, isn't staging the additional file so that we can show it before committing the code. Okay. Now, I just showed you where to download this from. You can go here. We don't need this now. Okay. We'll go here. We'll copy the link. It's an unpublished site because, guys, I told you, you have to commit it from here. We'll see, open and explore it. Okay. Now, these are the things I've used on my project. Okay, these are the assets that I have already used in the project. Now if we go to this was the project I opened, and I just showed you on my GitHub account here. Okay. um, this is the wrong page. Yeah, guys, GitHub pages will show you. I've showed you, this is the my project, but the images are not visible because we haven't linked it with this one. You can view it anywhere you want. What you have to do is, you just have to copy the link of your project from here. No, yeah, you just have to copy the link of your project. Mm. Okay, now the thing is, when you deploy for the first time, you'll not see this. Okay, you'll see it as none over here. So you have to come select it to main, and then you have to assign the root of the project you want to deploy, and then you can deploy from a branch. Guys, the best thing you can do from GitHub is, you can deploy applications, but we're not able to show that right now because we're running out of time. So um I'm pretty sure we'll be covering that in on Discord. If you have any problem, there's a Discord channel. You can join there and we can interact over there. We can even interact now. Guys, just download this. Okay, copy paste your drag and drop. Again, the drag and drop will work. Just drag and drop your project files here, and then you can just show in Explorer, and then I'm not doing it right now because I don't have the code of that project here. It's just very simple. I'll tell you, drag and drop the code over here, and then you can just click on show in Explorer and your code will be deployed for sure. If you have any doubts, guys, feel free to contact our team. Okay. Now this is the last part, guys. Hosting. I just told you what hosting on GitHub feels like and shows it. Yeah. So thank you guys. Thank you for being such an interactive attendees. Now guys, you all can comment if you all have any doubt. And the interesting thing I was going to tell you is that guys, we are going to share a Google Form link, and you have to make an application, push it on GitHub, and you have to upload it on Google Form. And guys, we'll be giving a shout out to all the people who deploy their website application or whatever on, and you provide the link to us. We'll be giving a shout out on our Instagram channel, Discord, and wherever you all want. Okay, so we'll just share the Google Form link after this, or guys, you can just mail us at the Google Developer Student Club email. The email is there in the description. Yeah, live chat. You all can just email all your deployed applications and web applications and mobile applications on this account, and we'll be giving shout out to everyone. Guys, just keep good and keep developing. And yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for spending this evening with me learning new things. I hope you all have learned a lot. Thank you guys.